Hi friends, today the topic for rice is about how rice importers in different parts of the country who are importing rice from India. I want to share a lot of information as to how it can help rice importers, be it in terms of getting the right price, be it in terms of getting the rice quality, be it in terms of understanding the varieties of rice that they buy, and in what happens during shipping, where they can probably save some cost. So today's video, my friends, one of our user from Saudi Arabia had suggested us this, that we do talk about a lot of about rice, we talk about millers, we talk about exporters, but we have never spoken about rice importers. So today's topic, let's keep it focused on rice importers. So many of you, my friends, who are following us on YouTube, on Facebook, and other channels like Instagram, I hope you are able to learn something from us. I hope we are adding value to you, friends. So let's start the discussion for rice importers. So for all the rice importers, I would like to let you know that India exports about $7 billion worth of rice from India to all parts of the world. So in Indian rupees, it is roughly about 53,000 crores worth of rice gets exported from India to other countries. Now, broadly, this rice is divided amongst basmati and non-basmati. And as you know, the basmati is always from northern side of India, and rest all are also spread across other parts of the country. Now, one such topic, what I would problem that rice importers will probably face, is about discovering prices. What is the price as on today? Because if you are in a world market, you are definitely in a different time zone than India. Whether you are in Asia, you have about roughly 1.5 to 2.5 hours of difference. You might be in Middle East, and if you are, say, for example, in US or Canada, it is almost close to 18 to 24 hours, right? So at this moment, I feel that you have already set amount of suppliers who keep giving you prices on a continuous basis, right? They might be messaging you on WhatsApp, they might be sending you an email, there might be few phone calls exchange. But as a rice importer right now, for example, say that you are in US and it's morning 10 a.m. for you, but it's night in India. You have to call somebody to ask some doubt or ask some questions on pricing and stuff. It becomes a little difficult task, so you might have had a way around this. So but otherwise, from our side, the solution that we have bought for you is, again, I hope everybody knows this, the number is here on the description that I have mentioned, that where you can see prices on WhatsApp itself, 24 hours, and it will show in US dollars. The prices will show, it's a Exim loose prices, right? So one thing I think it's about prices. What in our observation, what we have noticed is that there is a lot of information gap for the importers. For example, let me take an example of Sona Masuri rice. So the importer thinks that he's buying Sona Masuri rice, but what happens is, there is a lot of grains in India which looks like Sona Masuri rice, right? So Sona Masuri is a particular variety belonging to Karnataka region, but there are a lot of other similar looking varieties like Nellore Sona, non-BPT, pure BPT, and the BPT varieties. So this understanding whether you have really got Sona Masuri grain becomes a challenge for the importers. This is one challenge that importers face. The another challenge is that in outside, in the world market, the name Sona Masuri, the name Ponni is used like a very generic and a kind of a brand name, meaning a bag might say it is Ponni, but in the bag there might be actually Sona Masuri. If the bag might say Sona Masuri, but inside in the bag it might be Nellore Sona. So a lot of things like this becomes a little bit difficult in terms of understanding the quality and making sure the right quality is going into the bags, right? So quality is one thing. Similarly, in the case of basmati, right, an importer might say that, okay, I want to buy basmati, but then it has to be understood whether the rice are you buying is 1121 basmati, 1509 basmati, 1401 basmati, is it Sugandha or Pusa basmati, right? But how can you make out? So in basmati, that it is all about length, right? 1121 is a very superior grain which has about 8 mm in length. Everything else will then start reducing in its length. 1509, for example, basmati, that it is the length also is double checked after cooking, right? So what is the length of the grain after cooking, this is also one thing, I think. The second most important thing I feel is that everybody who is an exporter will always think that I would probably get an advance for my order, and payment terms is one, what an LC is. So for an importer, all importers who are dealing for African regions, for example West African regions, which is a very big market for non-basmati rice, there, because the orders are mostly taken by traders outside Africa, in Dubai, in Paris or Singapore, right? There there is an advance that is involved. So right, these traders give advance, 10% to 20% advance to the exporter. So there the concept of advance is there. But when it comes to say rice of say basmati or say Sona Masuri, this concept of advance is very very less, right? So the exporters also some exporters, there might be some good exporters who think that they will get an advance, but in particular rice, they see that they will not get advance. So I would also like to tell the exporters that in Sona Masuri, normally what happens is, when an importer wants to import Sona Masuri, normally it is sometimes one container, sometimes 2 or 5 containers, or sometimes maximum 10 containers. That's a maximum size of order in one go, for example, right? But if you see orders of IR64 rice or Swarna rice, which happens mostly from Nagpur, Chhattisgarh, the order size is very huge, meaning at a time a customer would place an order of 50 containers or 20 containers or even 100 containers, or sometimes we see that there are a lot of inquiries that we get of 5,000 tons, 10,000, 30,000 tons. So these are very big orders. So these big orders have to definitely be under advance, part advance and part after on documents, or on LC is what. But otherwise, for Sona Masuri orders and basmati orders, where the order size is less but customers are more, that advance concept becomes a little bit difficult. Mostly it is not there, is to what I want to also tell our exporters from India, right? So getting a reliable exporter is also a big key thing for you rice importers. And lot of rice importers might feel that I want to buy directly from the mill, I want to work directly with the miller, and some people might think that I am already buying to the miller, and which might be or might not be the case. So I would like to add a small thing here, because the rice millers are, because that rice milling is a full-time job. It is a very serious job. So normally what happens is, there are very good rice millers in spread across India, but they are so busy with the mill that it becomes very difficult for them to put their focus out of the rice mill and also focus on something like exports. That is why you will see that from India there are a very less amount of rice millers in India. But at the same time, there are few millers who are miller exporters, so they know how to do, but otherwise majority of the rice millers are not able to do exports, right? So my suggestion to rice importers is that sometimes it becomes very easy and important to work with rice exporters who are just traders also, because there's a lot of things these exporters also do. right from they print the bags for you, they book the truck for local transport to the port, they work with an agent to arrange empty containers, they coordinate for shipment fumigation, then there is vessel booking. So a lot of things has to fall in place. Quality control has to happen at the mill and at the time of loading at the container, right? So lot of things that exporter handle which a rice miller might not be able to handle, because he already has a lot of work to do in his mill. So that is why they don't for rice millers it becomes very difficult to understand documentation process, how to bill in US dollars, how to do really export, how really export happens. It is not just about taking a import export code or a certificate. After that there is food safety license, which is a central license that has to be taken. There is LUT forms to be got for exports, and based on all this filing of the shipping bills, a reliable agent is required. So there is a lot of things because of which importers will actually lose out on a good rice millers to work directly. But I think if you get a good rice exporter who can be transparent with you as to suggest you as to which mill it is coming from, what is the kind of quality, he or she can advise you on buying rice, and I think that would be a very good combination for rice importers. Also, I want rice importers around the world to also understand that a lot of exporters work with commission agents for booking the rice from the mill, right? So let's assume main pockets of rice, say for example Raichur in Karnataka, and Raichur, Tumkur, Bellary, Siriguppa, these places for Sona Masuri rice in Karnataka. Nellore in Andhra Pradesh for Nellore Sona and BPT varieties. In say Telangana for Kolam, RNR, HMT and BPT kind of varieties. Gondia in near Nagpur for IR64, Swarna, BPT kind of varieties. Chhattisgarh also the same kind of varieties. Burdwan in Kolkata for IR64, Miniket rice, Gobindbhog rice, Baskati rice, right? UP, Bihar, and then we have Punjab, Muktsar and Karnal in Haryana, right? So all these places there are a good amount of rice agents who sit there, who represent a few mills, who work with a few mills. So most of the exporters take help of these rice agents who help them procure from the rice mill, get the loading happening, and these agents actually also become a surety for these rice mills, for these buyers, so that they give a surety that for payments and any other problems that might come up. So normally these agents will take a commission from the rice exporters and the rice millers. So normally these commission agents roughly take about 10 rupees per quintal, or you can say 10 paise per kg as normally for 7 to 10 paise per kg as brokerage from exporters, and at the same time roughly about 20 to 30 paise per kg depending on how they work. Normally this also happens, and they take it from millers. So roughly you can think all put together there is margin of about 20 to 30 paisa per kg, which will be taken by your agent for doing this work. So on this behalf of for this amount, they give a surety to the miller that the payment will come, and then they all help in arranging the truck for local transport to the port. All this lot of things they also handle for the exporters, right? So why rice importers might not also be able to directly work with rice millers is because rice millers might not have import export code, might not have the experience to export. So then it becomes for rice millers, importers, it becomes then an option to mostly work with rice exporters, because rice exporters can purely focus on rice exports because they don't have to manage the mill, right? So this is one of the thing. Now most importantly, for there is a community on Facebook called Rice Price Daily, And in this community Rice Price Daily, we see that there are a lot of users from in the international market. We have seen that there's a lot of rice importers from West Africa. There's a lot of rice importers from Philippines. There's a lot of rice importers from South America. So I would request all the viewers to join this. There's a community on Facebook called Rice Price Daily. Go on that community, message there any international buyers here wanting to buy rice. There you can generate some leads and explore and see how it goes. I have Antik Mondal is leaving a comment here. If any international rice agent join with me, I will give them commission that is what he says. So Antik Mondal is a rice miller from Burdwan in Kolkata. My friends, if anybody wants to connect to understand rice, so Antik can offer rice like Swarna parboiled, IR64 parboiled, also Swarna raw and IR64 raw. I think apart from this, Antik can also there's a rice called Gobindbhog, which is normally also told called as Siraga Sambar rice. Some people call it as Jeera rice, right? So these are the rice profiles. And then there's also rice profiles called Basmati and Miniket rice from Burdwan in Kolkata. So the other point that I want to touch upon is for all these rice importers in other countries, majorly when you're buying say IR64 rice, please be aware that IR64 rice major pocket for IR64 rice would maximum be about 3 or 4. I'll tell you what are the 3 or 4. One being the very great pocket of IR64 and for Swarna rice is the region called Chhattisgarh. Is a very good region. And then there is Gondia and Nagpur region in Maharashtra. And then there is Burdwan in Kolkata, and UP and Bihar is also quite good sourcing region for IR64. The last the other region which is through Mundra port, and in and around Mundra also a lot of IR64 exports do happen. The other thing I want to touch upon for rice importers is that if you are a rice importer buying IR64 rice or Swarna rice, please note that rice price of rice varies according to the length requirement of the rice. For example, if you are thinking that you are buying IR64 rice and you are not sure of the length requirement, so the length can be different for a 6 mm length rice, and the price can be different for a 5.6 mm length. So because Swarna and IR64 is available in this region, you can either buy a combination of IR64 and Swarna. So the length is about 5.6 mm of the grain, and if you want to purely buy IR64, then you can pay a better price and you can get a 6 mm length, which is actually going to be a long grain rice, right? So you have to keep in mind. So if you are buying IR64, you have to ask your supplier what is the length of the rice. It is 5.6, is it 5.6 or is it 5.9 or 6 mm? So 5.6 or 5.6 will be lower price, 5.9 will be on a higher price, right? And at the same time, normally sometimes people say I want to buy white rice. So you have to make sure you understand what actually in white rice. Is it Swarna white rice? Is it IR64 white rice? Because Swarna white rice is a short grain rice. Roughly length is about 5.2 mm to 5.4 mm and 5.5 mm. So that you will find it cheaper compared to IR64 rice, right? The other thing that you need to understand is there is also a quality called fresh milling and remilling, right? So or it is also said paddy to rice or rice to rice. So if you are buying IR64 or Swarna, you have to make sure you ask your supplier, is it fresh milling or is it remilling, or is it paddy milling or is it rice milling, or they all use a word called paddy to rice or rice to rice. So if it is rice to rice, it means that it is a old previously milled rice, which means it will not look good. The rice will look a bit dull. There will be the whiteness will not be that great. But if you are buying paddy milling rice or a paddy to rice, then it is freshly milled, so it will, the look and appearance of the rice will be much better. There will be no bad smell and things. So sorry, the video got paused, my friend. So this is a few things on the quality that you will have to give a little bit of focus into. So in terms of exporters, getting the right exporter, getting to work with right exporters, I think now because of social media, we are able to, you as an importer is able to find and the right supplier, information on rice, which is also going to be there. For the rice exporters who are here, normally we see that rice importers are normally not very active on social media. Yes, some are active, but normally majority of them are not very active on social media. Meaning, even if you have to search a Facebook profile, it is very difficult to identify whether the person is an importer or not. So you might have to actually put a little bit more effort to find out. So that is one thing for the rice exporters. So my friends, I don't have any much comments here for any queries that need to be answered. So for the importers, I would just give a note before we finish this video, is that a lot of white rice requirements from Philippines, or say anywhere in Singapore or Malaysia. There are a lot of Indian white rice comes from Chhattisgarh, Gondia, these regions. A lot of for West Africa also, you need to understand the region is Chhattisgarh and Nagpur, which has good amount of white rice coming from there. Also the parboiled, which actually comes from there. So out of the total about 60 to 70,000 crore worth of exports that happen from India, it is almost equal. 25,000 crores is about basmati and 25,000 crores is about non-basmati. And in the 25,000 crore of non-basmati, 15,000 crores worth of rice is going to West African regions. So it's a very good share, which means West Africa is a very big market. Benin, Congo, Senegal, the Ivory Coast. These regions are a big market, but normally the majority of the business is taken by traders who sit in Dubai, Singapore, Paris. These kind of regions is where they trade out of, right? So PWIP is a place where you can get some more information on rice on the Instagram channel, on the Facebook channel, and the YouTube channel. I hope this video was useful, my friends. Let's connect soon again. Thank you so much.